This is the United Uprising channel. Welcome to today's show. I had to cover this story about Leave the World Behind again. I've covered it multiple times. If you haven't seen my previous videos on the movie, I have a few, including the Matthew Perry video, where there's a lot of connections to all these women on Friends being witches and Julia Roberts in Sacrifice. I also broke down all of the stuff that we saw in the film, including the plot points, in separate videos. They are linked below. You can find them if you would like to watch those videos if you haven't yet. But I need to cover this in regards to the person behind making the film, Sam Esmail, because he's answered our questions about Leave the World Behind. He wants you to know that some of these conspiracy theories, well, they're just crazy. They're crazy, kooky conspiracies. And as you look into this director of the film, Sam Esmail, well, one can look at what's he done before? Who is this guy? How does this guy even contacting Barack Obama? Well, if you look closely at some of the other products or projects that he's worked on, I mean, there's one right in front of our faces called Homecoming, right? What's the poster for Homecoming? Oh, it looks like, is that all seeing eye symbolism? Oh, it is. And what's the, does anyone know the plot of this film, Homecoming? Well, it's a suspenseful film, television series or Amazon series, streaming series, that took place mainly inside takes place inside of a mysterious facility where soldiers fresh from deployment receive treatment designed to help them re-enter society. Now, as it's revealed, lots of connections with this group called the Geist Group, this secret group to the CIA and the intel agencies. And of course, what ends up happening to a lot of people when they go through, the U.S. Department of Defense, or they go through any of these government agencies, really, and they pretty much break your mind down and destroy your mind. So, of course, the poster for it has the all-seeing eye symbol, but I guess he's just a fan of eyeballs too, right? And if you look even a little bit deeper on him, he's got other projects, that are coming out of the woodwork that he's working on that people are excited about. They're saying, I can't wait to see that, but they're not asking any questions, of course, about it, because why should they ask questions? They should just assume that he's there from hard work, just like everybody in Hollywood and the music industry. They're all there because they work hard, and they're smarter than you, they're better than you, and that's why he's friends with Barack Obama. It's not because he's a member of a secret society. I mean, that sounds like a crazy conspiracy theory, doesn't it? I mean, only a crazy conspiracy theorist would believe that. This is all about hard work. So the latest thing that he's also, tied into is something called American Radical. And here's the book for American Radical. And there's more all-seeing eye symbolism. I guess, if we want a real deep dive on who this guy is, on who Sam is, well, he's a guy who wanted to be an optometrist and he failed. And, luckily for us, he's making films and he's, talking to Barack Obama and doing interviews talking about how it's all conspiracy theories, that we all think there's a connection here with the stuff being revealed in these films, in these TV shows, because, of course, well, we're thinking too hard. And when you think too hard, well, that's a problem for them. So they have to do articles like this. So let me read to you two of his responses when asked, of course, about the conspiracies we've all discussed. And that's Barack Obama and his Freemasonic production company and their connection to the film. So it says, put your Barack Obama conspiracies to rest. And they ask him, Barack and Michael, excuse me, typo, I'm a tongue twister, Michelle, produced the movie. He says, I'm so curious, what kind of notes did they give? And the director, Sam, says, because Obama is such a movie lover, he really focused his notes on trying to cinematically portray what was in the book in a really interesting way. The book was on his reading list. It's one of his favorites. And he really, I wonder why. And he really wanted to do justice by the book and this theme about mistrust, and this being a cautionary tale about what could happen if we don't have that community or bond that holds us together. So he really gave notes with regards to character, empathy, and also the disaster elements. It was really across the board. And again, it was all in pursuit of making it into a good movie. That was Barack Obama's main focus, end quote. Okay? So that makes sense, right? Does that make sense to everybody out there? You're making a movie, you're making a film here, and you're going to go to a former president because he read your book, and he must have a real good background in script writing. Well, of course he does. Of course, yes, because they're actually using real government blueprints, because this is how predictive programming works, and then they make movies out of what they're going to do to us, so then they could call us all crazy conspiracy theorists. They could use what is known as, lots of different types of magic on us, right? Where you ever hear them talking about these things like summoning, you ever hear this in like spirituality? I'm sure you have. People who practice witchcraft, they talk about thinking it into existence, right? Well, That's what witches and Satanists do. They tell you beforehand, they are manifesting it, right? So this is a form of manifestation. It's also a form of universal law, which they never talk about, where these things are revealed to us because we have free will. God reveals these things, and then they use their schemy little ways, like saying it's a production, it's a movie. It's hypnosis, is what it is. That's what movies are. It's a form of hypnosis. So, of course, they talk to him a little bit about Friends, but he gives more quotes on Barry Obama, and including they talk about this story about the Teslas and how all these Teslas have shut down and the Teslas aren't working and they're recalling all the Teslas, and how, that eerie picture of all the electric vehicles on the side of the road. Of course, that's not predictable. That's never going to happen. You know what I mean? Cars running on lithium batteries, they'll never shut down on the side of the road with just one frequency shot of an EMP or anything like that. Anyway, let me continue on here with, what he has to say in detail about any of us who are conspiracy theorists about Barry, because he wants to make sure that we don't actually think that this is going to occur. And, if you do, well, you should put on a tinfoil hat is pretty much what they're, telling us. So the person who wrote the article asked this question. So I did not realize this, but people at Collider pointed out to me that apparently there are a whole bunch of conspiracy theorists online saying because Obama was involved in this is him secretly signaling the end of the world. And I realized, wow, people could dig into anything. I mean, to me, this is crazy talk. But have you heard about any of this stuff? This is the guy asking the question, by the way. This is crazy talk, okay? This is all crazy talk. I mean, what planet is this guy living? Oh, right. He's not living at all. He's a hive minder who can't think for himself. And it's a crazy conspiracy to think that this could ever happen. Meanwhile, the liberals don't trust the conservative government. The conservatives don't trust the liberal government. Nobody trusts Barry Sortoro. But anyway, here's the answer from the director. Of course, I've seen it online. And I think the silly thing about the whole thing is President Obama really came on a couple of months before we started shooting. So the script had basically been written and done. He obviously gave notes on the script, but the bones of the story and the sequences were already written. I would just say they're pretty wrong in terms of his signaling. It had nothing to do with that. And like I said, his notes are really about character and theme and empathy. It really didn't have anything to do with any of these sort of theories that are flying around. So if anybody actually watched the film, empathy towards what? Is anyone watching that say, that's real? I'm glad Barry Sortoro gave his input here because I could see a lot of empathy. You mean the racial tensions that they put in there because Barry Sortoro and all of these communists in our government have done nothing but create and gaslight racism in this country over and over? Is that the empathy he's talking about? Or was it a crazy notion to think that this could actually happen when they're dropping things from the sky that say death to America, when everybody in America is looking around, watching this country completely explode, watching chaos run amok, watching the government allow criminals to walk free and rob stores and loot them and even give them guns so they could go and do it, while the rest of civilians who are questioning that are losing their right to free speech, right? So it's interesting that this guy, Sam, who loves eyeballs, maybe he'll find this video, that he's online. He's seen some conspiracy theorists online. I guess maybe he saw, I don't know who he's watching, I know another YouTuber, he probably heard of him, that would constantly expose these things and be removed from the platform. Of course, I'll join that list very shortly of conspiracy theorists who's removed from the platform because, it's only happened about 1,000 times. So he's watching the conspiracy theories online because, of course, that makes sense, right? I mean, he could make a movie like this and not think that anybody would question what they're seeing, especially when he goes out openly and talks about bringing on the president, a former president of the United States, for script notes. They brought him on for script notes because he's a fan of books. Huh? They brought him on for script notes because he wants to put empathy. What in the world? Who believes this? How dumb do you have to be? Well, you have to be pretty dumb, right? But obviously you don't even have to have a brain to survive in this country anymore because the majority of people who are actually still surviving don't have brains. They're just hive-minded and the government takes care of them by giving them handouts. So anyone who believes that narrative, you're completely out of your mind. That they would bring on the president, talk about a movie where they're literally showing you the shutdown of our society under attack, not telling you who the boogeyman is, giving you whispers of Korea, China, and Russia, when it'll very much be our own government and people like Barry Sortoro who are doing it to us. So that's why he went there. And I'm sure with all the predictive programming he puts in his films, because remember, these guys you never hear about, these producers, directors, And a lot of the guys behind closed doors that are pull the strings on these puppets, those people are all going to be, safely protected as well because they're doing what they're asked to do. Now, the majority of these people, and I've talked about over the years, from Hugh Hefner to guys like this, actually are government agents. They actually are CIA, trained in the intelligence agencies. So they know how to perfect MK Ultra. They know how to perfect mind control on the masses. And all these films are not just them summoning this into existence, not just universal law. It's a hypnosis they're putting you under. They're putting you under hypnosis. They're showing you these things. And the more they show it to you, the more desensitized you'll be when it actually happens. And what they also do in this programming is they tell you how you should react and what you should do. That's another thing they subtly do in these. Okay, this happened. Well, what did they do in that movie? Well, they did this. Oh, okay, we should do that, right? I mean, they do it with horror movies, how people react when there's a killer. They run and hide under the bed instead of protecting them. You know what I mean? They do it with these movies too. And what did they show? What was interesting about it? Well, the world was coming to an end. And of course, the Livs went to someone's door who was prepared, someone like me and you, and they demanded that they give them their supplies and be a good person. While that person was warning everybody and looking at the signs and telling everyone what was coming, and he was preparing himself, but he should give everybody that. And that's exactly how these lunatics are going to behave when crap does hit the fan. Because they're narcissists. When you create a society of narcissists, of people who literally can never, ever, ever admit to being wrong, then when these things happen, they'll never admit that you were right or you do anything. They're just going to try to take what you have because, well, they're being told through programming like that. That's exactly what the movie was showing in the ending of the film. Right? They show up there. My son's sick. You should give us your supplies. And he says, how did you not see that this wasn't coming? I don't know how, man, but you should give it to us. We deserve it. Right? And that's them programming the rest of society because that's really what these types of films do. They program your behavior. They desensitize you to what's to come. And they put you under hypnosis. So this guy's just sitting here. And these are the types of answers. These answers that have no real answer inside of them, right? They walk in a circle, they laugh at you, they say tinfoil hat, they say conspiracy theorists, and they say things like this guy said, crazy talk, right? And then everybody out there just reads it, hears it, and they go, yeah, that's crazy talk. Then when it happens, just like the outbreak that we all warned about, they still call you crazy. They still won't admit that you're right. They still won't get on board because they love these celebrities. They love these politicians. They think that they care about them, and they've gotten them so divided from reality and so distant from what's really going on. They're living in a total dystopian nightmare. And they actually believe all the stuff that these people feed, and they don't have to give you answers. Like, can you believe people are calling it a conspiracy? Can you believe a whole bunch of... No, I can't believe it. The film only ends with a girl inside of an underground bunker, right? Stored with food that all these rich people, a couple days ago I covered Zuckerberg, his Zucker bunker, right? That all these rich people have these and nobody's going, well, why do they have them? Oh, but we're the crazy ones for pointing out the obvious. That makes you crazy, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to hell on earth, the world that we're currently living in. A reminder, if you haven't subscribed to my backup channel, Call for Vengeance, please do that now. I need to get more people over to that channel. I need your help in building that channel out. So please do me that favor and subscribe now. If you haven't joined the website, uprisingrevival.com, I highly recommend that you join the website. It's $2.99 a month. It is troll-free. It is ad-free. It is unlimited content. There are close to 1,000 videos over on the website, I believe, or there's going to be thousands, plural, of archived and just stuff that you can learn constantly that I've done in the past that have been removed that I'm not allowed to put back up. They'll be over on the website for $3 a month. And of course, the forum. You don't just have to watch content that's put up over there. You can interact with other like-minded people. How are you preparing? How's everybody else preparing? What are you seeing? What are you seeing at your own store? People take pictures of items they're seeing at their own stores and putting it up. Are you seeing this at your store? Are you seeing this at your grocery store? So everybody's able to, interact with each other, show these things, share these things, and you wouldn't be able to do that anywhere else because you can't do it on YouTube, that's for sure. You can't even share links with each other. It goes into the spam box, okay? And you can't even comment anymore without them flagging your comment. Or having their little their little trolls that follow everybody around flagging comments to go to Big Brother so they can review it and take you down too. So the website is censorship free. I hope to see more people over there. I thank everybody who is here. Hope you're all well. God bless you as always and your families.